infested with semi-mediocre podcasts. Only one show can bring you an exceptionally mediocre podcast. It's the Indispensable Thursday Show with Sable and Dave.
Where'd those drums go? Where are they, man?
We don't need no stinking drums, man.
So that headstand in yoga is good to keep your circulation going. It's supposed to relax your heart. You know, there's all kinds of craziness associated with it. But it is true that if you're doing a long road trip, you pull over into a gas station and you do a headstand for 4 or 5 minutes, the way the yoga headstand I was just showing you, it will keep you alert and safer on your drive.
Hadn't thought of that. The ancient yogis used to use that for their long drives across, like, through the Himalayas and stuff like that, right?
It's the only way they could sit on their camels for so long.
Thank you for tucking your shirt in before you did that, by the way. I noticed you, like, tactfully tucked in the shirt so I wouldn't get a view of that pasty white belly. So thank you.
Well, we haven't spent a lot of time in the beach yet, and I didn't want to blind you necessarily. See, I've got the typical SoCal tan where my face, my neck, and all my arms below my sleeve are nice and golden year round.
I got that.
The rest of it is like a sheet of freaking paper. White paper.
I still keep these skin cancer areas for fully exposed to the sunlight, which is great for me.
Right? So are you caught up on Game of Thrones yet this week?
Ooh, I watched half of the most recent one.
How do you watch half?
It was streaming and it was kind of stopping and then it was late. So I'm like, okay, I'll finish. Maybe tonight I'll finish.
Okay, well, we won't talk anything about the episode. This is not a Game of Thrones spoiler podcast. However, this week's episode, Kill the Boy, was pretty shocking to me. I feel like the storyline really pushed forward. It says Dany makes a difficult decision in Meereen. Jon recruits the help of an unexpected ally. Brienne searches for Sansa. Theon remains under Ramsay's control.
And there was a nice return to some full frontal female nudity, which was good. I applaud the producers for that. A little bit last episode.
Last episode had some good, some good nudity. However, I don't like that Game of Thrones this season is kind of balancing it out. Whenever you see female nudity, there's going to be a dude walking in the scene.
Yeah, we don't really need that so much because heterosexual women can see that anytime they want. So can gay men. You have to throw a bone to the heterosexual man. We can't just see naked women anytime we want unless we go to a strip club and spend a lot of money to do that. Or, your wife, okay. But even if you just ask the wife sometimes, hey, show me, they're like, hey, no. It's like, why do they do that? But anyway.
Yeah, right. What's the big deal? Like, we have children together.
Yeah. But a lot of times, like, no, or it's
it's like they don't want to be objectified or something.
I guess a friend of mine had a actually he's quoting a friend of his, a very funny quote talking about the female, our favorite organ down there for heterosexual males. He said, well, a lot of times women say, you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's like, well, no, it's actually, you've seen one, you've seen one.
You've seen one.
So we like to see a lot more of them if we can. So that was that's what I like. But yeah, we need more of those. And like I said, heterosexual men, we like to see more of those.
Well, my friend and I rode our motorcycles out to Laughlin for the River Run one year, many years ago, before kids, BK. Or some people say PK, pre-kids. I like before kids. And we bought a bunch of plastic beads and went, parked the bikes, went walking around with all the drinkers. And this is what you do. You ask a woman to flash you, and in exchange, you give her beads. And
worthless plastic beads in order to see your breasts. That's awesome.
And one girl said to me, why do you care? Why do you want to see them? And I said, well, I haven't seen yours. So if you want some beads.
Perfect. A rejoinder. Yes. And to quote Yakov Smirnoff, what a country.
What a country.
What a country where you can do that.
So
and it works.
While I'm still reading Future Crimes, which is a fascinating and in-depth book, I've totally gotten over the writing style that I don't love, but I've gotten past it to the really deep and interesting information. I read the Paul Kemp book, The Lords of the Sith. Have you heard of this?
Heard of it, yeah.
Just came out last week. I pre-ordered on Amazon. All the new Star Wars stuff I've been pre-ordering and reading right away. It was a very quick read for me. I mean, just 370 pages just gone in a couple of lunch sit downs. But the power of the dark side is on full display. Starring Darth Vader and the Emperor at the height of their powers. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting dive into the character of Vader just after he becomes Vader, does all of his despicable stuff, and is a new pupil to the Emperor. As the Emperor gives lessons about power and displays his power, and they do this little dance of master and servant.
Mm-hmm. If you spend any time looking for his son named Luke Skywalker, he could easily just look at all the registries of all the planets and find Luke Skywalker just perfectly there, sitting there registered to his brother, to Obi-Wan's brother. Gee, why would he never think of looking there?
If he knew he had a son, he could search all the registries and find him somewhere in the universe.
He knew, didn't he?
I don't think he knows.
Okay.
I think Vader is so caught up and trying to reconcile his actions of all the death, all the killing. He's reflecting in the book about when he was just killing children without a second thought. Mm-hmm. And I think he's just solidifying himself into the role he chose as the most powerful force in the universe, in the galaxy anyways.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Excellent read. If anyone out there is interested in reading about Star Wars and this new generation, the reboot, just like the new Republic, I highly recommend Lords of the Sith. And when the Christy Golden book comes out next month, I will read that and tell you about it as well.
Is that the name of the author?
Christy Golden is one of the... Paul Kemp wrote this book. Christy Golden writes a bunch of the other... She wrote other Star Wars books. Erotica. She wrote World of Warcraft. She wrote a bunch of other books that I've read. Mm-hmm. Turns out I've read tons of Paul Kemp and Christy Golden.
Wow. Well then.
I'm a reader, man.
I'm not going to tangle with you.
Just like my kid.
Star Wars Extended Universe trivia.
Well, they're changing it all. They said, okay, well, everything that we had that was official canon is no longer official canon. We're just going to write everything from scratch now. And I went, okay.
I don't have time to keep up with all that stuff.
So Luke Skywalker's not going to marry Mara Jade and have a kid named Ben Skywalker. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to find out.
Don't even tell me that. I have no idea what any of that means.
We'll find out in December what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I know you had a lot of things to discuss.
I know. I wanted to give you a chance this time because last week I just railroaded you the whole show with all of the neat things.
I'm going to start off with my visit to Knott's Berry Farm, where I found out a shocking piece of news.
Oh, tell me.
There used to be, for everybody in my ballpark age, probably over 30, 40s, there used to be this awesome, it's not a ride per se, it's a sort of an attraction. It was called the Haunted Shack. Do you remember the Haunted Shack?
Mm-hmm.
It was over in Ghost Town area, kind of across from, kind of right near where the Birdcage Theater was. It was in that area.
Love the Birdcage Theater.
Yeah,
by the
that's
way.
really cool.
That's where I saw the band, the Pickin' Band.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't remember which band they were, but they were excellent. Go on.
So it's not there any longer. I wasn't sure why, but what it was you'd go. It's more of an attraction, like I said. A host sort of like he's kind of like a Jungle Cruise, where they kind of bring you through this and they kind of make little wisecracks and they walk you through it. But it plays with your head a little bit because they built this house like on a slope, and when you're standing inside it, the room it tricks your mind out because the room looks straight, but you're slanted like almost like 45 degrees or something because you're trying to stand whatever it was.
I loved that as a kid.
Yeah.
Because there's also something in Northern California, the slanted house, that's very similar.
Okay, cool. So if you've been to that, you know what the Haunted Shack is.
I've been to both.
Cool. I don't want to treat you any differently. I know you want to, sorry, parched already. So walking in with my daughters, and I noticed a couple of the rides were closed, and there was a guy working there. He was a little older than I am. I could see. I said, what happened to the Haunted Shack? Why'd they close it? And he goes, that was the first question I asked when I worked here, when I started working here. And he goes, it wasn't handicap accessible. ADA complaints. I'm like, those effing cripples. You know who you are. You crapped on my favorite attraction at Knott's Berry Farm. I hope you're happy. You people in wheelchairs. You don't need to go on the Haunted Shack, for Christ's sake.
It was probably the blind that had it taken down.
I don't know. I'm sure a lot of handicapped people don't care. They're probably like, yeah, that's a douche move on the part of whoever was complaining. Yeah. But for those of whoever you are that complained about the Haunted Shack, screw you. I'm glad you're in a wheelchair. Hope you have to poop in a bag the rest of your life.
Harsh. The band I saw was Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies.
There's no way you remember that, so obviously you Googled that one.
I've got my trusty laptop right here. And I did a Google search for Knott's Berry Farm Bluegrass Band. And it came right up.
Yeah, well, that annoyed me. Probably some lawyer. There's safety issues, of course, now. Anytime you're, I'm surprised they don't just put you in a Michelin Man outfit when you go into the park, like Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. Just don't touch anything. Don't do anything. Surprised they have roller coasters. Why?
Isn't that why Disneyland is going to issue you a band with GPS trackers so they can sort of keep track of your safety, make sure that if you start running too fast, they give you a little mild electric shock,
yeah,
so that you slow down.
Well, that I'm okay with.
Right?
Of course.
Well, I'm not sure if you remember, Dave, but our friends over at All Things Being Equal in West Venice Beach have offered to do some PSAs for us.
Oh, good.
Because by presidential proclamation, there's a lot of important things going on in the month. So here is our PSA
These
for
recent proclamations?
The month of May.
Barack Obama or something?
Month of May.
Okay, right on. I'm Terry Friedman of All Things Being Equal. The month of May has been proclaimed Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, or APHIM. APHIM is a celebration of the culture, traditions, and history of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States. This Wednesday, my in-studio guest will be Star Trek's George Takei, who spent time in a Japanese internment camp as a child during World War II. Join us as I smugly pat myself on the back and assume that, had I lived during those times, I would have been on the right side of the issue. Cool. So are there any events people can buy tickets for? I have no idea. Maybe you can go to the website
a second.
and look.
Dave, I don't agree with Terry. Terry's not just it's not just a Pacific Islanders month.
No?
There's a whole bunch of things.
There's more for month of May?
I mean, according to the college, it's only American, what is it? Asian American, what was it again?
Pacific Islander
Heritage Month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but forget that. In 2006, President George W. Bush said that May would be Jewish American Heritage Month.
Oh, throwing the Jews a bone. That's good. Because he hated Jews.
Right. Well, this was an achievement in the effort of the Jewish Museum of Florida, which I didn't know any of this. But how come no place that I've ever been or worked has ever celebrated Jewish American Heritage Month? What's up with that?
I don't know. You should complain.
I should complain.
Write a letter. Write an email.
I'm going to have to go do something. I mean, I don't want to take away the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month because there was a great hula show that was put on. It was fantastic. There was some fun Chinese dancers. It was wonderful. But this only began in, let's see.
You could have a Jewish potluck that day. Everybody could bring in some sort of foul-tasting, kind of bland, kosher type food, like some gefilte fish or something, or just some...
No, I wouldn't have anybody eat gefilte fish.
Okay. I actually don't mind gefilte fish.
No, it's like...
it's not the worst thing I've ever tasted.
I think it's to celebrate Israel. Well, let's see what President Obama says. Hello, everybody. Hi, all, everybody.
This year we celebrate Jewish Heritage Month.
Okay, he's not really sure what it is. Jewish Heritage, what was it, week, day?
They just handed him the copy right before he walked into that room.
Heritage Month. And we're also...
Okay, month?
We celebrate Jewish Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month.
Jewish American?
I know. This year we celebrate Jewish Heritage
Wait, what is it?
Month, Jewish American Heritage Month.
Jewish American Heritage Month.
Are you? Did he say that over and over, or did you back that up?
I backed it up.
Okay, I was wondering
Because apparently not even our president, who, well, it wasn't him that proclaimed it, but he did not proclaim Asian Pacific Heritage Islander Month either.
Well, he must hate Asians. That's all. That's the only thing I could conclude from that, right?
He hates Jews. We know he's against Israel.
Oh, well, that's a fact for sure.
Okay.
But he's playing you lip service there with the Jew thing, but he didn't. Obviously, hates Asians if he didn't mention the Asian month.
That's true. He did not mention the.
That's
Well-
that's a new thing I learned recently. Is if you disagree with someone, find out what their heritage is, and you're anti that heritage. That's all. That's all I found out.
Okay, good. So I want to
Are
thank.
you Jewish American?
Yes,
You are. So
I'm,
you're only
I'm
half,
Ameri-
so you're
I'm
only half
American
American.
Jewish.
You're only half American. I'm full American. I know a lot of African Americans.
I'm
another half
American, Jewish American.
Oh, okay.
No, I think I qualify for both. I only have one citizenship.
Well, I'm
though.
full American. Yeah.
So if I had to choose, I was just American, but I'm also Jewish, which is whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about more about Judaism in our Ask a Jew segment.
Do we have more Obama?
No, I just wanted you to
just-
hear that. You want to hear that again?
Yeah, even his stutters and stuff are not nearly as bad. I used to cringe when I would hear George Bush talking about anything. It was like, oh God, how's he gonna screw up this very basic sentence?
Hi, everybody.
How?
This year we celebrate Jewish Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month.
Oh, that's not so bad. But he does have a lot of I guarantee you he's got as many flubs as maybe not as many as George W. But there are places you can go online to find. You have to look for them, but there are plenty. They've compiled all the Al Gore ones and all that. But of course, if you're watching the mainstream media feeds, where they basically just talk about they just show all George W. Bush's flubs, but there's plenty of from everybody.
Right.
Like Corpsman, that was a good one. Remember that one? Commander in Chief doesn't even know how to say corpsman, or corps. It's a corpse. It's like nice.
It's a corpse. Well, at least we don't have to worry about voting him back in.
Yes. There's going to be rumors though that he's going to have the every time. Now it's a standard thing is the opposing side thinks that the current president is going to somehow trick out the Constitution where he can run again or just be elected president forever. They said that about Bush. They said that about Clinton.
Right.
About Bush. And they're saying, I've already heard it about Obama too. It's like, they're not going to do that.
Well, you could argue that Bush and Clinton have been running forever.
Yeah, right. Their DNA is running. Well, Bill and Hillary don't have the same DNA. Thank God.
No.
By the way, Hillary Clinton is the only. She's a woman. That's as far as I could tell
She's
the
got that
only
going
unique
for her.
thing. So they should just call her Hillary Clintoris. That should be her new name. Just to remind you, the only thing she's got going for. And like I said, people are just going to walk. I think she is going to be the president because people are going to those swing voter people. They go in and they just go, Carly Fiore. I don't know. Oh, Hillary Clinton. I know that name. Check. Yeah, I heard of her. Marco Rubio. I think my kids play that in the pool. I don't know. I don't. That sounds stupid. I'm gonna go for this Hillary Clintoris.
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to go in, they're going to go, Bush. Oh, Bush sent me that $600 way back when. I was able to pay my rent because of that Bush guy. I'm going to go Bush. Wait, was it George? Can he run again?
I don't know.
All right, let's just put him in.
I heard
send
of
us
him.
another $600.
I heard the name before. I'm going to vote for him.
That's right.
Because those Southern guys are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton anyway.
No,
but, just the average. I heard of that name. I'm gonna vote for her. I heard she has a vagina. I'm gonna vote for her.
As an independent, I don't know which way I'm going to go yet, but I'll find out.
Did you vote for Mitt Romney?
No, I did not vote for Mitt Romney.
Thanks a lot.
Now, Romney probably would have been pretty good as a business person, but the whole I'm a Mormon thing was like in my face. I don't really want my country to be about a religion. I don't want.
Well,
I don't
he
want.
He wouldn't have made it about
Christians.
religion. No, I never got that impression from him, but everybody else, of course, was freaking out about them.
But I don't want a Mormon presidency or a Christian presidency or a Jewish. I'm doing air quotes in the air with my fingers. I want a presidency for Americans and I want the president's values, his or her values, to be influenced by their belief in what they grew up in. So I don't want to know anything about their religion. All I want to know is they're not criminals.
All I want to know is
they're citizens.
I want to know if she has a vagina. That's all I care about. 'Cause that's a good ruler right there. If they have a vagina, no, they're going to crap themselves if Carly Fiorina is going to run against her. It's like, oh my God, 2 vaginas.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? I know what I'd do with 2 vaginas, but I don't know what the average voter would do.
It's a good thing your wife doesn't listen to the show. Well, one thing we know for sure is that the presidents are going to be all over social media. That's Facebook. Zuckerberg's going to make a lot of money off of this. And Twitter is going to be the battleground for this. Did you know you could buy Twitter advertisement and you could set a limit, put a few bucks for a Twitter ad?
For what?
You can target. Well, here.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Let me tell you what @Rabbite did. His name is Andrew Orenheimer. I don't know whether he's a good person or a bad person or a white supremacist or a political advocate. I don't know anything about him. But for a few bucks, he decided to target, or maybe he says a few pennies. He decided he wanted to target, let's see, what does he say? He said, I want to aim at people who have donated to Democratic campaigns, animal rights causes, women who shop in fine jewelry, and to display ads to followers of specific users like @Jezebel or @Feministing. And what he did was he said, whites need to stand up for one another and defend ourselves from violence and discrimination. Our race is dying. And then it said promoted. Now, this is what's interesting about a promoted tweet, which I didn't know because I'm too cheap. I never spent any money on it. A promoted tweet gets past your block list. So if you're tired of my junk on Twitter and you block me, but I make a promoted tweet to get to you, you still see it when you log into Twitter.
Wow.
So people that had blocked him were seeing this. And of course, he was targeting feminists and animal rights. And he was looking for anybody except for conservative white people to see what they would say. And the responses he got, oh my gosh.
Like, everybody but white people needs to be proud of their heritage.
Right?
I don't think anybody should be proud of their heritage, by the way, but that's another story.
I mean, this guy Cassius looks like dreadlocks and goatee. Says like, I'm sorry, what the F is this garbage? This is the most effing disgusting promoted tweet I've ever seen. Go to hell, Andrew Orenheimer. and here's Meow Meow. Why did Twitter promote a white supremacist Twitter account on my timeline? Gross, triggering, and blocked. Triggering. Hey, Twitter, what are the going rates to promote white genocide? Got to hear both sides, as they say. I mean, just people are going nuts here. Here's the one, looks like a Chinese dictator here. I'm really mad about the Nazi nerds spending real money to promote bad ideas nobody cares about. And then, of course, @Rabbite replies, he says, whites need to stand up for one another and defend ourselves from violence and discrimination. Our race is dying. That's promoted.
So you think he was messing around?
Oh, well, he says he was just effing with people.
Okay.
That's what he says.
Well, obviously he was, because no guy who actually believes that would admit that he was screwing around. He says, this is serious, man. There's no way he would. That would be serious if, you know what I mean.
I just think that Twitter advertising is very interesting, and we should start playing with that.
Of course, nobody would care if it was a black person saying the same exact thing. Just scribble out, delete,
right?
Type in black. Nobody thinks anything strange to that, but I do. I don't think anybody should be proud of their race or heritage. Well, you fell out of a white vagina. Nothing. You had nothing to do with it. You fell out of a black vagina.
Of course, you have a choice, right?
You fell out of an Asian vagina.
Your spirit looked at that body and decided to enter it.
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
I always thought it was kind of like being proud. I'm proud of the moon. Really? Okay, good for you.
Yeah, good.
How's that working out for you? Don't be proud of something you had be proud of something that you achieved. How about that? Okay, there you go.
Well, you can
Actually, that reminds me. I always quote Adam Carolla on this. He has a thing where instead of birthdays, we should celebrate Achievement Day, because it's not. You had nothing to do with your birth. You, like I said, dropped out of a vagina in some hospital somewhere. Hitler had a birthday, for God's sake. Who cares? It's your achievement. You should pick something that you're proud of that you did. You know, and that's your day you celebrate. Like for me, I don't know. I should. I just thought of this, so I don't have a bit for it. But
Well, I'll tell you, every Thursday I celebrate at 10 a.m. when the Indispensable Thursday show releases to pod players everywhere.
Celebrating, yes.
And I'd like to thank our 4 reviewers for leaving us 5-star reviews.
Yeah, thanks, guys and girls.
It's really wonderful.
I don't think I saw one from listener Angie.
No,
yet, though. I think she
I don't think she has an iTunes account.
Oh, well, she needs to get an iTunes account and get in there and put a nice review on there.
You don't need a Macintosh for an iTunes account. You go to iTunes.com, download iTunes, and then you can just
It would be a perfectly legitimate review because I in no way ever dated her. So, there you know.
Awkward silence.
I in no way dated her for 3 years.
We'll just wait a moment there. You know,
or was it 2? It's getting kind of fuzzy now. It's been a long time ago.
You know, more people than just you and I like to mess with people on the internet. Have you ever noticed this?
No. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of joshing around. So this week, joshing around. So this week, the Satanists, whoever those are, announced that they're demanding exemptions to anti-abortion regulations.
Based on what, like Satan exemptions?
Well, according to RollingStone.com, they say that it's an obvious and brilliant ploy to test how serious conservatives are about their supposed belief that a person's religious liberty, those quotes were in the article, rights mean they can opt out of laws they simply don't like. The Satanists are trying to prove that conservatives are hypocrites whose interest in religious exemption only applies to situations where they can take away someone's birth control or ruin a same-sex couple's wedding. I kind of agree with the Satanists here.
Well, the obvious counter argument from the right side would be that obviously they consider abortion to be extinguishing the life of a human being, which would be akin to murder. Now, they're not a fully grown human being, but they consider that akin to murder, and you can't really. Murder's always against the law, really. So it doesn't matter. Like they're not going to give a dispensation for. I'm a Muslim. I need to kill Jews. You know, they say no, you can't do that. So they would that would be their trump card. It's like, sorry, murder is still ill. It doesn't matter. You can't apply that. That's what I bet they would say, and I think that's probably what they should say.
Well, I think the argument is that abortion by the first trimester is legal all over the place. In fact, Roe versus Wade back in the 72, 73?
You're right around there.
But there's a marked decrease, and you can follow this in the I'm going to think about the book.
Talking about Freakonomics?
Freakonomics, thank you, where they show that crime decreased as the woman's right to choose an abortion for unwanted pregnancy increased. So you can clearly see the number of women that chose to have an abortion early on in their pregnancy greatly affects society. But some of the religious conservatives are saying, well, like Hobby Lobby, remember that Hobby Lobby thing? I'd never heard of a Hobby Lobby until this. They said, well, we don't think that any woman should be able to choose to abort their child at any stage, no matter what happened to them. If, as you mentioned, Hitler came and raped the woman to breed a new army of Nazis, she should not be able to abort that child or those children of that army. She should have to raise them and live with their actions and their consequences herself.
Well, they're very pro-adoption, though. Like they actually are more consistent, I think, because they say it is true that the child conceived there is still an innocent human. If it grows up, you don't have to raise it. You could certainly give it to someone who would want to raise it. If you think
an embryo that could not survive on its own or even have a developed brain or bodily functions is actually qualifies as a person yet.
Well, it does if the woman wants it and she gets stabbed to death and it dies. Suddenly, somehow, the guy could get prosecuted for murder if he stabbed her. It's weird. Even if she was only
double murder?
2 weeks. Yeah, even if she's 2 weeks pregnant. Somehow, if she decides it was viable and she wanted it, it could be murder. That's interesting, isn't it?
Well, in both cases...
By the way, I'm okay with abortion, especially for Satanists and Democrats. I'm totally okay with it. You should abort away. But definitely after that, I think if there's no brain, Okay.
Well,
I
in
wouldn't
both
hold it against
cases-
someone if they aborted me before I had a brain and be like, okay, no harm, no foul.
Well, in the Hobby Lobby case and in the case that you mentioned, some guy was making a decision about the woman's child.
Perfectly legitimate. Half my genetic material. Oh, some guy or
Some
is it the father?
other guy was making a decision about the woman's baby.
Mm-hmm.
My belief is the woman should make the decision about the woman's baby.
Yeah, but not the father, right? Only the woman.
I don't really think the father has a choice.
Half his genetic material.
I don't think you could get a woman pregnant and say you better abort.
No, but he has a say. I think he should be able to opt out of parenting, like she can. The woman can say, "I don't want to be this baby's parent," but somehow the guy is. He has to be the parent.
Men
of the
can
kid
always
based
opt
on
out.
her. No.
We can always
they got to write a check.
walk away. Well, not if they
White guys
don't
do
prove
apparently.
it.
I mean, they got to write a
Look,
check.
if you get a woman pregnant and you leave, she has to track you down and sue you and get a paternity test to get money from you. You don't want to be a parent as a guy. You just don't be a parent.
Yes,
right?
but you're gonna maybe have some trouble with getting.
You might have some
garnished and
repercussions
stuff.
of your
Yeah.
decision, but it's still men can literally walk away. Women, however, have to go
They
through
can walk away too. They
the birthing process before they can walk away.
Yeah.
So
Or they can put up for adoption if they like.
So all that, and I guess I'm on the side of the Satanists here. All I'm saying is that they should be able to decide for themselves. Do they want to have this child or not?
Yeah, that's fine. If it's third trimester, but I really would like
Third
I would like
trimester,
the
I'm
father
not sure
consulted
about.
because it's half of his genetic material, and it's not really part of her body. It's residing in her body.
Well, as a father, I would like to be consulted in the decision,
Me too.
but it's not really my body. I would prefer to be able to have a discussion were I in that situation. But really, it's not my uterus.
Satanists mostly, they don't really even believe in Satan, though. It's all a big sham. They don't even think Satan exists. They just
come
do
on.
it to screw with people.
Sa-
Some of them were doing
Satanism is a
bloody
wonderful
chickens and stuff.
humanitarian, humanist religion.
Huh? What?
Keep talking.
Oh, I didn't understand that cue he was giving me to keep talking. I know. I was like, I'm way off on my show notes here. I got to zip over to, if you use Slack for show notes, you often can get it. Oh, I can't talk about that possible sponsor there because we haven't inked that one. But while we're talking about the injustices of taking the haunted shack out of Knott's Berry Farm, what are you looking for over there? He's balancing a stack of 12 paperbacks. I don't know what he's looking for. But I woke up the other morning thinking about I'll have radio shows in the morning going off to not to wake me up because my children wake me up every morning, but
Those children, man, they're always waking people up.
but every freaking morning it's something weird with the rioting in Baltimore and the Ferguson and the hands up don't shoot, which never happened, and this Freddie Gray character, but and all of this, I just get angry with all this stuff because I think you got to work big to small. What's the biggest problem? There's plenty of black leaders out there,
right?
Who will say this, but they don't get any ink. Is biggest problem? 75% of kids are in the black households being born without a daddy in the home. It's a broken home. That's a huge problem.
Well,
Big to small.
before we talk about that, I want to tell you what I was looking
Yeah,
for.
what were you looking for?
Is a little paperback book that I bought in high school when I was a religious studies person. It's the Satanism book. And I wanted to bring it
Satanic
out.
Bible?
The Satanic Bible.
I have that
It's got the big red blood. It's pretty funny. I was going to read an excerpt from it, but it's apparently not in the stack next to my tarot book and my Anne Rice novels.
That's weird.
I
hope your young son doesn't have it.
No, it's okay. But interesting story. I had a friend in 9th grade who was an Eagle Scout. And I was over at his house one day just hanging out with my buddy Jim. I don't know what we were doing. We're probably eating chips and talking trash or whatever. And some people came and knocked on the door. And he went, "Oh man." And it was a couple of like a woman and a man. Like I was a teenager, so they were older. They might have been in their 20s or 30s. And they had on a tie and a shirt, shirt and tie, and they were dressed really nice. And he said, "Oh, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses." And I said, "Well, let me answer the door." And I went up to the door and they said, "Hi, we'd like to talk to you about Jesus." And I said, "Well, come on in." So I let them into the house and they sat down at his table. He had a little round dining room table. And they said, "We'd really like to talk to you about the good book." And then I pulled the Satanic Bible out of my pocket.
I've read it. It's fantastic.
I put it on the table and I said, "I'd like to talk to you about my book." And they looked at the book, the Satanic Bible, and they looked at me and they looked at each other. And they just left.
And they started making out? No.
They just got up and left. They didn't say anything. They didn't look at me again. They just both got up and left.
They thought they were in danger maybe, or, well, yeah. That's funny.
I don't know what they were thinking, but I was in a very straight face. I crossed my fingers just like theirs. And I said, "I'd like to talk to you about my Bible."
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like to see that immortalized on film. Sometimes we should shoot it short.
It was perfect time. Well, it's got to be from like a cocky jerk-off teenager.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what made it funny for me.
I was homesick one day, like kind of sick, and some Mormon girls came over. Very cute Mormon girls.
Nice.
My hair was all messed up. I think I used to smoke in my apartments. I'd have like a cigar or a cigarette or something, and I was like, they come to the door and, "Hi, we want to talk to you about, do you know anything about Mormonism?" And I go, "I don't know, Joseph Smith, he said that the angel Levi appeared to him and said that there was a lost tribe from Israel in the mountains or whatever there, and he showed him where these plates were, and and I went through the whole story. They're like, "Wow, you do know a lot about." Like, they're like, "Would you want to pray with us?" And I said, "Oh no, I don't pray." "Well, if we left this Mormon Bible, would you read it?" I said, "No. You can leave it, but I won't." I might read it. But,
and you never read The Pearl of Great Price?
No.
In the Army, we are not allowed to have novels. No real pastime, but you can have a Bible of whatever your religion is. And my battle buddies, what they're called, was Mormon. Mm-hmm. So I read his stuff, and I remember saying, "Carmichael, did you know you're going to get your own world?" And he said, "What are you talking about?" I said,
"You didn't know."
I said, "It's right here in the. I've read the thing cover to cover, right? I mean, I'm a reader, like my soon-to-be 8-year-old is a reader." I was like, "Look at this," and he said, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, I just gave it back to him after that. Why am I reading this stuff?
So they get to be like their own master of like a galaxy or a star or like a solar system or something?
Well, my recollection from 1997 when I went through the book was, you be a good person, you live your life accordingly, you follow these laws that were set out in that book, and that when you move to the next world, you get your own world to rule over, and you are the Jesus of that world. Mm-hmm. So there's another world of humans just like ours, and you are the Jesus in that world.
Frankly, it doesn't sound any more wacky to me than Scientology or Catholicism or Hinduism. So
right?
Whatever.
Yeah,
good for you.
Great.
Whatever makes you behave yourself, hey, knock yourself out.
Well, my 6-year-old asked a poignant question. Mm-hmm. He said, he just looked over the clock. At the time. He said, "So, Daddy, when you die, what do you come back as?" And I said, "If you're a Hindu, you come back as whatever, a bug or a horse or whatever." He said, "But we're Jewish." I said, "So you don't come back. You're dead. That's it. Sorry." Oh, well, now that you just made me aware of the time, instead of us just having a nice casual conversation, I'm going to skip over a little immunization story. I'll tell you about it next week.
I got a funny thing if you want to do real quick, but what do you got?
Can I tell you about a new crime thing that's happening?
Okay.
This is really interesting.
I hope it's not the same crime thing I have. It's not really a crime. But.
No, people are getting Apple Watches.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I think you mentioned a crime involving Apple Watches before.
They're getting the Apple Watch. Did I already say that?
You said something about the heartbeat.
Oh no, that was different. That's a different crime thing. That was
okay. So the new crime's
proof of assassination. This is an online service. So you get your Apple Watch, you send it to watchplate.com, and you get it gold plated. For about $400. So you $400 for the watch, $400 for the gold plating, and then you sell it on eBay for $10,000 as the gold, because it is a gold 18-karat gold plated watch. It is a gold Apple Watch,
right? Okay.
But you only put $900 in. Mm-hmm. So these watches, you look on eBay for gold Apple Watch, they're watch plate plated gold Apple Watches.
So you have to take it to one of those guys with the what are those called that they put in their eye? What are those things?
A loop.
A loop, yeah. They'll have to, inspect it, make sure it's the Apple certified gold.
Well, I think Watchplate is a legit company that does really nice gold plating, so they might not be able to tell the difference.
That's cool.
So here's your pro tip.
I would totally do that if I would be sure to
Well, if you're not a criminal,
to get away with it.
if you're not a criminal, you buy your Apple Watch from the store the way that most normal people will, and then you send it off to get plated for $400, and then you tell people you have a $10,000 watch.
Well, I'm gonna have my Pebble gold plated. I think I should send it to them because I got a Pebble watch. Mm-hmm. But we don't have time to talk about it. Maybe next week.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to your review next time. Do you want to tell me something funny?
Yeah, it's very funny. Maybe we'll close with this because it was funny. We'll put some pictures up on the website. I'll have to show you in a minute. But
Well, if you want to close with that, do you want to get the Ask a Jew in first?
Okay.
Is that all right or not?
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have
Okay.
an Ask a Jew?
I have an Ask a Jew. So this week's Ask a Jew comes from Anonymous, and it says, why do Jews have such big
Male
noses?
organs? Oh, okay.
Or in other words, why are Jews so well endowed in the nosal region?
It reminds me of a joke that I don't think I'm allowed to tell.
The nasal cavity. Well, as long as you don't use the F word, I think we're good. No. I think we're not explicit.
It's like an off-color Jewish joke, but I'm not allowed to tell because I'm a Gentile.
You're not Jewish.
No.
Yeah, so just shut your mouth there, Goy. So Jews are commonly caricatured, according to Wikipedia, as having Jewish noses, large, big noses, kind of like my uncle. Now, from personal experience, I think it's from all the drinking, because alcoholics tend to get bigger noses. And, as Jews, that's what we do. We drink. Every Friday night is a drinking holiday. Every Saturday is a drinking holiday.
A lot of wine.
Every Jewish holiday is a drinking holiday. You don't see the rabbi without having some schnapps. I mean, I'm not joking. This is a literal, like, you eat and drink in the Jewish religion. That's fine.
Well, that would explain all the for back in the medieval times, the nose wars between the Jews and the Irish, because they're big drinkers too. Remember the nose wars? You can look it up. There was a very long period of strife involving lots of nasal battles and things like that. So you can look it up. Go ahead. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Well, there's lots of stereotypes about Jews, and the thing is, we tend to learn about European Jews. That's called the Ashkenazi. That's what we hear about. You go to New York, you see the guys with the hats and the tzitzit, the little curls, and they're wearing black suits, like they look like they're from the 19th century, walking around in a very insulated environment. Or you ever buy from B&H Photo, right? Same thing. You're thinking about Ashkenazi Jews, but most Jews in the world are of Spanish or Latin descent. Most Jews in the world, not America, but in the whole world, speak instead of Yiddish, they speak Spanish mixed with Hebrew called Ladino.
I know some modern Orthodox Jewish couple. She was raised in Mexico, speaks great Spanish, but she just doesn't. She's not Mexican, but she's Jewish.
Right. Well, but if they're modern Orthodox, they might have decided to go with the Ashkenazi style of. So we think of Jews with big noses because we're inexperienced in the world and just don't know most Jews. Most Jews have dark brown complexion and curly hair. So there it is.
They don't look like Jesus, that blonde, like surfer-looking guy, because he was a Jew. I'm just going back to
I thought that guy was a dark-colored...
Who?
I thought Jesus was a dark-skinned African guy.
The paintings that you'll find in, like if you go to, the average Catholic home, like say go down to Santa Ana, there's a couple Jesus photos, Jesus paintings in some of the houses down there. They look like sort of like what's his name from Pulp Fiction, what's his name, the redhead, what's his name, the guy that plays the drug dealer guy that gives John Travolta, what's his name?
We're just
you're not going to help me out.
People.
Yeah, you're not going to help me out. Anyway, yeah, that guy, Eric Stoltz. So, it looks like Eric Stoltz or something.
You're so good.
I don't know who came up with that version of Jesus. Maybe the Spanish or something.
Esta jugar es católica.
What you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Should we do Ask a White Person? There's nothing.
No. Was that your funny bit?
Ask any, what?
Was that your funny bit?
Where?
Well, you just said
No.
No, what's your funny? Tell me your funny bit.
That was far from funny. Oh, my story.
That's why I was asking.
My story. No, it was actually a news story. It's a story from England. It's what I think is one of the best free market solutions to a government problem I've ever seen. Do you know who Banksy is?
Yeah.
For some of the listeners may not know, Banksy's he's an anonymous sort of street artist who's, some people say he's just a graffiti guy, but he does a lot of clever things, and some are quite, he's a talented guy. Some of it's stupid, but some of it is pretty like, that's pretty funny. He'll put
he's a street artist.
Yeah,
who makes his statements publicly.
Yeah, and he'll do it, in the dead of night or something, and it's just there, and everyone knows, it's Banksy. Well, there's someone who's was inspired by him. There's a real like a rash of potholes that have gone like unrepaired in the streets of where is this person? Manchester, Greater Manchester, I guess. But the potholes are just going unfixed. So this very entrepreneurial spirit decided to draw giant penises over them, like disgusting looking penises, and they've been getting fixed.
Chapped lip looking penises.
They've been getting the potholes fixed because people are noticing them now. So they're having to go, and while they're there, they paint over the penis and they fix the pothole, and they're calling him Wanksy.
Wanksy. Oh, that's a good one.
So that's a great solution. He's getting results, people. That's what I like.
Well, I'd like to thank Wanksy for this week's show.
Thanks, Wanksy.
And the Satanists.
We'll put some pictures up on the website.
That's great. And all the well-endowed Jews out there, we'd like to thank you for subscribing to the show. You can find the Indispensable Thursday show on iTunes and everywhere the fine podcasts are served. I'd also like to thank Terry Friedman.
Don't do that.
From West Venice Beach, from All Things Being Equal, for our public service announcement. And screw you, Terry Friedman, for not talking about Jewish American History Month. Next May, I better hear a PSA about that.
Indispensable.
We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your voice out there. Call our hotline at 657-206-0777 and leave us a message. Follow us on Twitter at Sable and Dave, and please keep leaving us iTunes reviews. We love our 5 stars. Thanks a lot. You gonna say bye?
No, I was.
Bye, Dave.
Goodbye.